Constantinople was a significant feature of the Byzantine Empire and the history following its fall. The effects of Constantinople's disappearance were large due to a rippling effect of events, changing and shaping the fundamentals of the society we know today. The location of Constantinople was first taken as a settlement in 657 BC by Byzas, the ruler of the city Megara. This location was on a peninsula by Bosphorus River, which makes up part of the boundary between Asia and Europe. The surrounding water was made up of the Mediterranean Sea, the Black Sea, the Danube River, and the Dnieper River. This settlement was later taken in 324 AD by Constantine, the Emperor of the Roman Empire, and was given the name Nova Roma, meaning New Rome in English. A key point in Constantinople's history was the Roman Empire splitting in half in 396 CE, making Constantinople the capital of the new Byzantine Empire, or as was often referred to as the Eastern Roman Empire. Constantine being the founder of the city is what eventually gave Constantinople its name. In current society, Constantinople has the name Istanbul, which is located in the country Turkey. Constantinople is often referred to as having impregnable defenses. This was due to its history of surviving multiple sieges, combined with its location and walls. Being on a peninsula, attacks from land and ocean at the same time were required for a successful siege, and the land wall spanning 6.5 kilometers long, being 12 meters high, and having a 5-meter wide base made attacks extremely difficult. Despite this, Constantinople would eventually fall to the Ottoman Empire in 1453 CE. Notes from eyewitness Jacopo Tadali estimated the defenders had a total of 30 to 35,000 armed civilians and only 6 to 7,000 trained soldiers. Compared to the 150,000 attackers described by Niccolo Barba, Constantinople was greatly outnumbered. The 150,000 attackers were split into 3 even groups of 50,000. The Christians who fought against their will, the peasants, and the soldiers who were paid daily. This was essential to the siege being successful. The siege started with the Christians charging the walls to place the ladders and attempt to climb over. This was unsuccessful as the defenders retaliated by shooting back with arrows and dropping rocks and other objects on the climbing invaders. The second group of peasants were tasked with the same job, but were unsuccessful like the first. This left the paid soldiers as the final group remaining for the attackers. During the attack of the final group, the soldiers yelled so loudly the screams could be heard from Anatolia, a whole 19 kilometers away from the battle. This was used to inflict fear into the defenders who were tired from the last 2 waves of attacks. And it worked. The captain of the defenses, Zuan Zusignan, let the cries get to him and fled to his boat by the harbour. As he ran to his boat to leave, the captain cried out saying, "The Turks have got into the city!" This was a straight up lie and caused the defenses to fall into chaos. Most of the defenders left their posts and ran to the harbour in hopes of escape, making the siege easy for the attackers. Using their cannons, the Ottoman blew through the walls and began entering. The remaining defenders who didn't flee put up a vicious fight, but were greatly outnumbered and failed to save the city. This resulted in Constantinople falling, causing the world to change in shape into what it is today. Constantinople's fall caused a ripple of change that molded and shaped our early world into what we have now, making it a highly significant part of our history. The largest event caused from Constantinople falling was the rest of the Roman Empire, referred to as the Byzantine Empire at the time, collapsing with it. This one result was the start of a chain of events to come. With the Roman Empire gone, there was a large gap of power that was usually held by dominating governments throughout history. With this role now gone, the ancient world fell into war and conflict as multiple groups fought for this spot. What eventually caused some sort of order was the rise of feudalism and medieval Europe. Feudalism stopped more powerful governments like the Roman Empire from forming, breaking the pattern seen before with powerful governments falling and rising, changing the progression of history. The church began to bloom and grew rapidly during this time, as without the law, order, and security provided by the Roman Empire, many people looked for guidance from the church. The growth of the church was much larger than ever before, causing religious leaders like the Pope to act as monarchs. Medieval Europe was dominated by the church. Now, how did this affect the world we live in today? To start with, Christianity rose greatly from the medieval period and the growth of the church, making it the most popular religion today. This may seem large, but is infinitesimal compared to some of the other changes resulted from Constantinople's fall. The medieval period in England slowed the progression of the human race in terms of economy, discoveries, inventions, and expansion to the point of an almost complete stop. If the medieval period had never happened as a result of Constantinople falling, the world we live in today would be centuries ahead of what it is now in progression. The medieval period also shaped our knowledge production, economic performance, human welfare, and political affairs, meaning our world would be different in all of these aspects if Constantinople never fell. Constantinople fell to the Ottoman Empire after years of success, altering our world in neither a good or bad way. On one hand, the human race would be centuries ahead in terms of progression, and on the other, our society, beliefs, and values will be vastly different to what we have today, possibly resulting in this theoretical world being in a worse situation than we have today. We don't 100% know what would happen if Constantinople never fell, but we know that the fall of Constantinople was a significant part of history, changing the fundamentals of the world we live in and experience today.